You literally go,
Carly! Tumbleweed just, I opened her pants and tumbleweed just went.
Hey guys, and a huge welcome back to my channel. I have my handsome husband with me here today.
You don't even need to tell them what it is because I'm here for one subject only.
Sex.
It's a sexy series.
Sexy series.
Today we're going to talk about lube.
We are! So, for the last two videos, I have kindly been sponsored by KY Jelly, which is amazing. So, I actually thought this would be perfect timing to talk about a subject you guys messaged me about a lot, and that is lube. And that's why I thought Leon would be really handy because he can give the male perspective.
I can give you the male perspective. There's going to be some egos damaged today.
So a lot of you ask me about whether you should be using it, what are the pros and cons of using it, and also how do you bring it up with a partner, because for a lot of us, we feel like we might get a negative response. Hence having my husband here. I'm actually trying to remember when we possibly brought it up into our relationship.
I think it's something that's always been used in our relationship, but I will say, as a guy, when I was a lot younger and a lot less experienced, I guess, in that department in terms of emotional connection and having a conversation with partners, I always used to associate lube with an inability on my part, which is one of those things, and it was like, maybe I was a little bit lazy with the foreplay, I don't know, but I always used to see it as it was only used if there was a problem elsewhere, and naturally as a guy when you're young, you're in quite a, yeah, you always feel like it was you, but it wasn't, and it was one of those things that when we started to introduce it, it only helped everything move along. It was great.
Side note, if you can hear heavy breathing, Stephen, our French bulldog, has joined the room.
Yeah, it's not me getting really excited in the video.
Just sometimes I edit and I'm like, all you can hear is
yeah.
So there is a massive misconception that lube really is only used if the woman that you're with or the partner that you're with is experiencing dryness, if you haven't got them turned on enough.
That's a big one. That was the one where guys, like when I was younger, it's like, do you want to use some lube? And I'm like, why? What am I doing wrong? And it doesn't mean that in the slightest.
No, not at all. It really does not mean that. And actually, the response that women have to sexual pleasure can be very different. And also the different things that you're going through in your life. So I, for one, can think of, on the top of my head, a couple of times where I've not responded in the way that I wanted to. So when I was younger, I think I was always pretty wet. But sometimes if it was a new partner, or maybe I'd been out drinking, or I was super stressed with my work or my exams, wasn't getting so wet. And then actually, most recent example, after having Jax breastfeeding, I was like the Sahara Desert. It was awful. You could literally go,
Carly! Tumbleweed just, I opened her pants and tumbleweed just went and came out. But that's something that's out of my control. It's out of your control. That's just, you know, there's a lot going on there, and then obviously as well there's the association with women who are going through the menopause with their estrogen levels dropping when they talk about vaginal dryness and that kind of stuff and using lube. So I think it's
any
just
kind of, if you're also on antidepressants, if you're on the contraceptive pill, they're literally, I mean, our bodies are incredible and they respond to all sorts of outside and internal influence.
But they're very sensitive, aren't they?
They're very sensitive. So we want to just open up that forum. So if you have never used lube before, and maybe you're actually just thinking you'd want to use it on yourself, so from like a masturbation priority, I would definitely say it's a nice thing to add in because you already feel all silky and slippery, which is great. And this is going to help you to prevent yourself from hurting, to especially also thinking about the kind of lube you should be using. Some of the ones that I've used before have left me in an uncomfortable state. We've tried.
Oh yes, with the tingle ones and stuff where it feels like the end of your penis is on fire.
We've tried.
Well, not your penis.
We've tried a couple of different ones, and while some are really fun, some also do leave you thinking, it's like that shower gel that a lot of us have used where you're like, whoo!
Yeah, mentioning no names.
Other shower gels are available. And you just kind of think like this doesn't feel so nice. So I think a lot of us also have the assumption that that's how it should feel as well. It really, you almost don't notice it other than everything just feels more comfortable. So for that reason, I definitely say that if you're thinking about introducing it to yourself, get it first and try it on your own and see how that feels. And guys can also use it as well. It's not just a thing that women have to use. You can use it when you're masturbating, and it makes everything a lot more silky and slippery. Silky and slippery.
But one side note I'm going to say, for all the other partners out there, you could be girls as well as guys, don't get lazy on your foreplay.
Yeah,
just because,
Me.
yeah. I always say you can't have your main before you've had your starters. Always make sure that you're still pleasuring your partner backwards and forwards, rather than just going, right, we're going to use some lube. That's it. You still got to have some fun, right? You still got to.
I would definitely say also on that, if you've been together for a little while, or actually, to be fair, everyone just gets lazy and you kind of forget that. It's a bit like what I was talking in the previous sexy series video, which I'll link, which is about going back to like deep kissing and just the whole beginning of sex. Because without that, sometimes you're not as connected and not as into it as perhaps the other person thinks. So that's really important. I definitely say you want to spend some time on the foreplay, introduce the lube there. Now, if you want to introduce it with a partner and you've never done this before and you're thinking they're going to think negative thoughts, I would possibly, I mean, how would you like someone to suggest it to you?
I think
on a silver plate,
I think to be honest, I think it's got to just be a straight up conversation. It's got to be from the standpoint of, I need to use lube. It can't be that. It has to be, should we use lube because I think it would be a great additive. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not that you're not pleasuring me, but I just think it would be something that could take it to another level. It's got to come from a positive place.
Make it feel better.
Yeah, it's got to. You know, I wouldn't lie. You know, if there's something that you want from your partner more sexually and that kind of stuff, then throw that in there as well. But you've just got to remember, it's a very sensitive subject. Guys' egos are very, very sensitive. So.
And if you find that really uncomfortable, then perhaps text it. You know, if you're doing some sexting or something, be like, hey, I've picked up something really fun that we can add in tonight. That works really, really well. And I
Lube, handcuffs, whips, they all go in the same drawer, don't they?
They do. And I think, you know, your partner will only actually find it more attractive that you have confidence to say what you do want in the bedroom, which is always, always much more sexy. So then it comes down to choosing the right lube for you. Now, obviously, we're big fans of KY Jelly. We've used this for most of our relationship, and the reason is it's approved by doctors, it doesn't have any nasties, and it's water-based. Now, I know a lot of people go, water-based, but I could just use my saliva. You can, but we all know that does not last particularly long.
Spit doesn't last that long.
And that can then lead to chafing and all sorts of uncomfortable things. So honestly, invest in a great lube. I will link it below so you guys can check out all of the details. I've loved doing this little snippet with you. And
thanks. What are we talking about next? When am I next back on?
I can think of something. When is he next back on? Pop in the comments below what you want Leon for next. And a huge thank you to KY for sponsoring the last 2 sexy series. It's been so nice to have a brand that understands what I'm trying to share with you guys, and I think that just fits in perfectly to this whole topic. I hope we've answered your questions. If you have any more, then do just pop them in the comments. Love you guys loads. Bye.